Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Shelly and I am a local artist, art educator, and I'm also a mom and an aunt. And today we're going to be doing DIY weaving. I am working with Route 66 Arts Alliance. Also, this project is supported by the town of Edgewood and the Moriarty Edgewood School District. So thank you so much to these people who have made this possible to get these materials out to you and to help us make these fun videos. So first we're going to go over our materials. We're going to be making a loom. So you are going to need something that is cardboard or a clipboard. Some cardboard that may have come with your package from the Route 66 Arts Alliance. There was something that was holding your paper together, so you could use that cardboard or get some cardboard from your recycling bin. And then we also have the string that I know came with, and so I also have some different string that I had in my studio and in my sewing room. So different yarns, different colors, so get those out. Also thinking about maybe, do you have any ribbon? Do you have, someone donated a bunch of shoelaces to me, so I have this stockpile of different colored and textured shoelaces, and you're just thinking about what would be a cool texture, what could be different colors. I have some strips of fabric which came in your fun material pack. I also have some saran wrap that I'm going to use. So there's that. So we're going to have the different things that we're going to be weaving with. We're going to need a pair of scissors. So I know you have a nice sharp pair of scissors, so get your scissors out. A glue stick may come in handy for building our looms. Also some duct tape or some masking tape, any kind of tape will work. So grab that. And a stick. I'm going to show you how I use this stick to hang up my weaving on the wall afterwards. So I have some choya. You can find a stick out in your yard. And then it's chopstick from my takeout that I didn't use. And then I did collect also some little doodads, some little things that we could hang at the bottom on our weaving. So I have a feather, a washer, maybe you want to get some beads or some little pop tops to hang on the bottom of your weaving at the end as embellishments. So I think that's it, and we're going to get started now talking about how to make the loom. So first we're going to start with the clipboard loom. The clipboard loom is, this is what the back looks like. And these long strings in the front, we're going to go over those in just a little bit, but first we're going to talk about the spacing. And so you're going to need some of your tape, and I did take the time to get ready. You can see I put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That was going to be for my part, and then I'm just going to show you here. This is the example. So you're going to, let's start with the string actually, because we're all going to use the string no matter what loom you're going to make. So what we're going to do is build our, think about this is called the warp. It's going to be the strings going up and down. So decide if you're going to have, it's going to be an even number because we're going to tie them together at the end. So each one has to have a partner. And so we're going to cut, I'm going to show you 4. It depends on your level of focus. You know yourself the best. So do you want to do a 4-string loom, which is going to end up about being this wide? So the amount of strings that you have going up and down on your loom is going to decide how wide it is going to be. So this one is very thin. This one's a little bit wider. This one was 10 strings wide on the loom. This one I don't even know. This one is made by a woman who weaves right down here in El Cedro, and she has a little rock house where she keeps her looms. She comes from Indiana and does her weaving out here. And so, in just taking a look at here, we can look at the patterning, the colors, and like I said, I don't know how wide her loom was, but much wider than 4, but we can start simple. So, how we're going to get started is by choosing a thread that is sturdy and strong, and we're going to cut 4, 6, 8, 10, some even number. And we want to measure the width of the loom, or the length of the loom. So we're going to hold up the loom. Here's a cardboard one, and we want this string to be able to wrap around the back of it. and then all the way to the front of it. And then also have a tail in the back. So when we're measuring kind of something like this, and then we'll take that string back off, and then we're gonna multiply this by 4 if you're making a 4 stringed weaving. And then same thing if you're using a clipboard, you're gonna want to wrap your string around and measure it before we cut. So we're all getting our strings ready together, and you can pause this video at any time once you kind of get what step we're on. And so here I'm just cutting my string. And sometimes it's nice just to cut extra anyways. So have some extra laying around. So then we have our warp threads. And then I'm gonna go back and show you how I did the one on the clipboard. And I use simple forms of measurement, which are the fingers. And so I just go to, once you get the first one on, okay, so let's go to the way we do the first one. This is where also we want to have our tape ready if you're doing the clipboard loom. So I cut little pieces of tape, pre-cut, and put over here out of the workspace a little bit so that I'm going to be ready to use those to put on the clipboard. So I'm going to wrap the string around the front of it, so I'll have 2 tails in the back. And I put the first one down and really press it down, and then wrapping it around, going to the back, and you pull it nice and tight, and then put the tape on the back of it. And again, pressing it down nice and tight. And so then you would just start with one and then measure, and as you can see, it doesn't have to be exact, but measuring each time so that they're about the same distance. So that's how we build our loom on the clipboard. I'm going to be working on a cardboard loom. And so to get the cardboard loom ready, we're gonna start by cutting little snippets at the top. So getting your size, and again, the size that you choose is gonna determine what's gonna look like. And I just decided this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So just coming in, and then you're just gonna cut about the same distance in and about the same distance apart, all the way down, and then you're gonna flip and do the same thing on the opposite side, so that these are gonna be lines going across, as you can see here. And what these little slits are for, it makes it nice and tight, and this is in place of the tape, so you don't have to tape this. It slides in and sticks in the back, so you can see how there's that nice tightness. One thing that I did that I really have liked, I've used this a few times. One thing I really like about this is that there's this spacer right here, and how I made the spacer is, again, I dug in my recycle bin, and I found some cardboard. This one was nice because there was some really thick corrugated cardboard that made a nice lift, so it's gonna be easier to go in and out of the warp. And so I found this, and I didn't have those thicker ones anymore, that corrugated, real thick one. So I cut that in half. I cut a nice strip about this size, and then cut it in half because I'm gonna stack it. And this is where our glue comes in handy. And so then I just glued those together. Nice amount of glue. And so then it's thicker, and then I'm gonna put it on right at the end of my little snips where the yarn is going to stay in. And then we're going to go ahead and get started. Fun part, it's all fun, but this is the exciting part for me. So we have our pre-cut warp strings. I've already put 3 in, and I'm gonna do the last one just to show you. And I'm going to slide it in the slit and then tighten it across the front and pull it so I have it's nice and tight. Then we get to start. There you go, and you can see we don't need the glue. And as you can see, I've used this for other things before, this piece of cardboard. And now we're gonna get started with the weft, which is the weaving in and out. And we're going to start with a ribbon. And so when we get started, we're gonna start from one side, and we're gonna go under and then over. and then under, and if you have 6 or 8, you go under, over, over. But as soon as you get to the end, it's always the same. You make your U-turn and you flip back. And we're gonna pull this tail, and we always wanna keep a tail right here when we first start. And then we make our U-turn and we come back. And now we're gonna do the opposite. I'm going over this one because I went under it last time. And you kind of get the hang of it. There's like things like with knitting, where you're just like pattern, 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 and you're going back and forth, making my U-turn, whoops. And you can see here where the spacer comes in handy, and I'm kind of just checking in, keeping it tight, and going under and over and wrapping around. And you can choose to do this as many times as you want, but always keep when you cut it, so we're gonna cut it and change. So you can see Billy Pearson's piece back here, the different colors, the thinking of the pattern and the way that the texture is all working together to create this beautiful piece of art, which actually could be, this one is a rug, but you can also hang it on the wall. So I'm taking this one here, and then I'm just gonna squinch it down a little bit. So there's our first one. Then I'm going to come to this type of string, which is thinner, and I slice it, and I'm doubling it to make it thicker, right? So if you had embroidery floss at home, some people have a lot of that for your friendship bracelets or whatever you use it for, maybe you can double that up so it's not super tedious. So I'm gonna come from the other side, and I'm going under, over, and then pulling the tail so that it is sticking out that opposite side. And there you go, just under and over. This is really great for our hand-eye coordination, just patterning. This can be really meditative and calming. I think this one over here took me around a little bit over an hour, around an hour. And you can always take a break and come back. Like I said, you can pause at any time. But we're just doing this pattern like repetition, which is really nice for the brain. I don't know if you've ever seen people weaving on a big loom before, where they're using their feet, the pedals, and it sounds like music when they're doing it. And you see how the warp, the up and down threads will move back and forth. So you can kind of see how some of them are sunk and forward, and that moves back and forth. So we're gonna do the saran wrap. So again, I'm thinking what's thick, what's thin, and I'm kind of trying those out next to each other. I'm rolling up my saran wrap a little bit here, and I'm gonna start from this side. So going back and forth from the sides that I started on, it was pink starting on this side, red on that side. Saran wrap this side, my next one on the other side. Coming in, and then in and out. And so as you're starting to learn, the thicker the fabric or the string that you're putting through, the bigger the space it's going to take up in your weaving. So if you just want to try it out, try different things, don't have a lot of time, go for your thicker materials, fabric scraps, saran wrap. If you're really into detail and you have a lot of focus, maybe you're using all thin. I like to mix it up. So we're going to go back and forth here a couple times with our saran wrap. And the cool thing about the saran wrap is that it's will catch the light and look very shiny within your fabric. And once you hang it up on the wall, maybe it'll glow a little bit. All right, and then I'm going to take it through one more time. And then I'm going to go back one more time, and then I'm going to take a pause here. You might not notice it, but I'm going to go ahead and stop my video and finish it, and then I'm going to come back and show you how we're going to finish it up. Hi, welcome back. Hopefully you've had a fun time going back and forth, up and down, and here's a finished one, and well, almost finished. I'm going to show you how we take it off of the loom now. And so what we're going to do is come here to the back, pull off. This is one reason why we made these longer warp threads. Like I said, I keep making them. They're so fun, and so I learn something different every time. So hopefully you try this more than once. They make really great little gifts for people. And so we're gonna pop this thing off. Oops. And it kind of just looks like jambalaya, but we're going to clean it up. And what we do first is we're going to tie the two. So the reason why we did the even again is to each one has a little partner, a little buddy. And so we're going to take the first one and the second one or whatever, fourth and third, and we're going to tie it together. And I'm going to pull this tight. So I'm going to tie this together and I'm going to do it twice. So this is still the same thread, the same two threads, tie it down, okay? And then I'm going to go to my next pairing and do the same thing. Make a loop, pull it through, and then tie it down. And this is going to hold everything, kind of start to press everything together 2 times and tie it down. And then I'm going to flip it over and do the other side. And so while you're doing this, maybe before you really tie it off and finish it, you're going to squish it down. It depends. Do you like it more airy and open, or do you like it a little bit tighter? And so then we're going to, again, take the two, the strings right next to each other, loop, cross, and through, and one more time. And as you can see, I went ahead, I'm going to show you before we cut off the sides. Here's my other one. So again, making sure things are tight, and then loop, through, down, and one more time, and we'll be finished with this step. And down. So here we have it. So it's not going to come apart. And so when we left off, I had a ribbon, a doubled up string, saran wrap, and then I used a really fun, shiny shoelace, and then a fabric scrap. So those were my last ones, and I'm going to show you how we cut them off to tie everything up. So all these long pieces, strands, I'm going to, and if there's any way that you want to kind of tie it up, you can make another little knot here, is what some people do, or you can find a way. This one's kind of big, so you can find a way. So see the long end of the shoelace, you can kind of tuck it in the back. Something you would do, sometimes knitters do it, or people who sew, because we're not going to really see the back, so you can kind of tuck it in here. You can see Billy's over here, how she has a lot of things hanging off. Now, I am not that much of an expert, but I do like that look. So again, you can experiment, maybe have it come through. It's hanging through the front, but I'm tightening up all my little lines, my loose ends here in the back. And then you can cut them down. You can also use a little tape. I know this is a trick that I learned. You can tape it down in the back too. Oops. It's just up to you what style you like. So just for example, this one's a little wild, this one's a little wild. I'm going to take a little piece of tape and tape it down, and I'm going to do it one more time here. Let's see, I'm going to look at the front, see how I like it like that. I'm going to tuck this one back too. So tucking these back, a little piece of tape, and down. So then here's my fun little weaving. And then I'm going to show you how to put it on a stick. So I'm going to use my chopstick that I didn't use, but anyways, and so I'm going to put it through and measure where I'm going to tie it off, because we want it to be fairly even. And so I put the stick through. Again, you can use any kind of stick. And maybe you're not going to use a stick. Maybe it's going to be like a little pot holder. Whatever shape you made, I don't know. But hopefully I will find out somehow. And we're going to make a little knot on this one. I'm going to trim it down so it's easier to manage. And then same thing. I'll hold this up in just a second. But I'm trying to make my loops the same length away from the top of the weaving so that when it hangs on the wall, it's fairly level. And then tying it off 2 times, making 2 little knots at the top of each. And clip. That's why these scissors come in so handy. So here's my little weaving. And then before I go, I'm just going to show you, I have a little feather here, and I'm going to tie it on this one side at the bottom. So I'm going to bring it in. Make a little loop. There's really, you can figure out lots of different ways to do this, but I'm just going to show you how I'm doing it. I'm just tying it around. There we go. This one's gonna have a little long dangler. And also too, and you can add like little tassels and stuff, so I have some red left over, and I'm gonna tie that right where the string, the blue string, is meeting the feather to give it a little accent. And also it's probably functional too, because it's gonna make sure that that little feather doesn't go anywhere. So that's on there, and then I'm going to add a little washer, again tying a little loop through it. So this is interesting because there's like a mix of things from nature. We got the feather, the wood, kind of, you know, it's from nature, but it was, you know, turned into a chopstick, but maybe you're using a stick from your yard. I like to, personally, as an artist, and this is my own style, I like to mix man-made things with things from nature, and so I'm bringing that into even my little weaving. And there you go. So I want to thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you had a fun time. I hope you'll join us again for some of the other classes. If you have taken pictures or someone has taken pictures while you were in your process, or if you can go ahead and take pictures or have someone take a picture of your weaving, maybe it's hanging up on the wall, or you're holding it up, we'd love to see your face and your hands if you want to share who you are. Not a requirement at all, but if you would like to go to Route 66 Arts Alliance, to our Facebook page and post your pictures, we would love to see and hear from you. Thank you, and see you next time.